Have you ever seen people who are just built different? How can someone with a disability become an elite athlete? Someone with a stammer becomes a TV presenter. A working class person thrives in an upper class sport. In her memoir, Winning the Fight, rugby legend Maggie Alphonsi charts her journey from a council estate in North London to achieving every honour possible in rugby, even an MBE. But her journey wasn't just about mental toughness or finding the right mentors, it was also about navigating brutal financial realities, her single mum making sacrifices, and the cost of being a working class athlete in an elite environment. Her story demonstrates three crucial lessons: the power of focusing on your strengths, the value of mentorship, and how real empowerment often requires some tough love. Maggie knew her strengths from a young age. She was physically dominant, scrappy, and energetic. She says here, "I had too much energy." As well as this, her mum said to her, "Don't ever let anyone bully you or pick on you." And she took that to heart. She got into fights and she won them. But knowing your strengths and being able to develop them are two different things. Every opportunity to develop Maggie's raw talent would come at a substantial cost. But they both knew she needed to redirect her energy somehow because she couldn't spend her life fighting. Now, that opportunity to redirect her energy came through a chance conversation with Maggie's PE teacher, Lisa Burgess. And this highlights the crucial role of mentorship. Throughout Maggie's journey, mentors were essential. Of course, there was first Lisa Burgess, Maggie's PE teacher, who said, "Do you know, Maggie, I think you'd be really good at this sport. You're fit and strong. Why don't you turn your energy into a positive and give rugby a go?" This introduction to rugby changed everything. But that wasn't Maggie's only mentor. She also had Helen Clayton, aka Rob, who taught Maggie how to become the world's greatest flanker. There was also Debbie Jevons, ex-pro tennis player who became a sports executive, a leader and an ambassador. As well as this, when Maggie transitioned into sports broadcasting and punditry, Gavin Scoville became a mentor for her. He coaches and trains TV presenters. Maggie actively pursued courses and training to develop because she knew natural charisma wouldn't be enough. Now, this string of mentors were essential, but they didn't coddle her. In fact, often they did quite the opposite, precisely because they saw her potential. And that brings us to the final point, that empowerment often requires some tough love. True empowerment often requires a little bit of tough love. Maggie notes that Lisa didn't care about her excuses. Oof. Maggie had plenty of reasons not to succeed. Her race, her class, her gender, the fact that she had clubfoot, these all presented obstacles. But the people around her held Maggie to high standards regardless. People like Lisa encouraged Maggie to work hard and acknowledged her setbacks, but empowered her to overcome them. This cultivated a really strong mindset in Maggie, which is epitomized in her quote here that says, "That's what I love about sport. It's a leveler. Let your ability do the talking, not your background." But perhaps no other story encapsulates empowerment like the story of Mrs. Walker when Maggie got her first call up to play for England against Australia. To go on the trip, Maggie needed £2,000, money that she absolutely did not have. For someone coming from a working class single parent household, this money could have ended her international career before she even started. But Miss Walker agreed to help Maggie on one condition. Maggie had to help herself first. She told Maggie to raise some funds herself first, take a bucket to every class and try to collect money during break and lunchtimes, speak in assemblies. "If you do this, then I promise that whatever you raise, I'll double it." So Maggie did it. She raised some money and Miss Walker was good for her word. She doubled the money. Some other teachers threw in some money too. And together, they got Maggie to Australia. Now, this is really interesting because Miss Walker could have just given her the money, right? She could have just done that, but she didn't. On the surface, this could have been about preserving Maggie's dignity and agency. But there is a deeper lesson here. Miss Walker understood that this wouldn't be the first time that money would be standing between Maggie and her dreams. So in helping Maggie in this way, it subconsciously taught Maggie to navigate this. And I think that's what real empowerment is, teaching people how to help themselves whilst ensuring the barriers come down. But it also reveals the exhausting reality that working class athletes face that wealthier competitors just never really encounter. Throughout Maggie's career, she constantly had to navigate financial challenges, doing calculations to figure out which opportunities to take and which she'd have to pass up. She constantly had to be strategic, thinking a few steps ahead, living with her mum well into her playing career, not out of convenience, but necessity. But it was all worth it in the end because we know that she ultimately won the fight. In conclusion, Maggie Alphonsi's Winning the Fight offers lessons in resilience, but not in the way that you might initially expect. Yes, finding your strengths is essential. Yes, mentorship is crucial. And clearly, empowerment requires a little bit of tough love. But Maggie's story also reveals the unglamorous truth that success for working class athletes often requires family sacrifice, constant financial calculations, and strategic investments in yourself when you can barely afford them. Sport may be a leveler on the pitch, but getting to the pitch is a completely different matter entirely. Maggie's journey isn't just a testament to individual grit, but what becomes possible when talent, parental sacrifice, mental support, and relentless resourcefulness all align. Now, if you like this story of resilience and hard-won success, you'll probably also like Straight Up by Olympic gold medalist and sports broadcaster Ruby Tui.